From being stuck in traffic in the mortal realm in a blink of an eye, Sophia has wandered into Olympus and been invited by Eros, the god of love himself. Has this Tuesday of a single girl become too extraordinary after all, and what awaits her in the next chapter? The Celebrating Love Grand Ball was truly worthy of being Olympus's most sensational event. Sweet melodies poured into ears like honey, the rich scent of ambrosia mingled with luxurious perfumes, and dazzling lights reflected off the sparkling gowns of the gods and goddesses. Sophia, or rather Psyche in her mortal guise, felt as out of place as a speck of dust in this extravagant universe. How did she even end up here? Psyche herself couldn't quite comprehend it. It all started with Sarah's earth-shattering phone call. Eros, hot guy Eros, the name echoed in her head, igniting an irresistible curiosity. And then, somehow, in a way Psyche still couldn't quite grasp, she was lured by Sarah to this place Sarah called a top-secret bombshell. "Just a little eavesdropping is all," Sarah had said with her usual excited tone. "Who would have thought a perpetually single girl like you would get the chance to eyeball the god Eros up close like this?" And so, Psyche, in her usual commoner attire, white t-shirt, faded jeans, worn-out sneakers, was stuffed by Sarah into a taxi. And then, by some kind of magic, she found herself standing in a space completely opposite to her own world. Where is this?" Psyche stammered, looking around bewildered. The familiar sidewalk cafe had vanished, replaced by a magnificent, splendid hall glittering with gold. None of the guests around her were dressed casually like she was. They were adorned in elaborate formal wear, expensive jewelry, exuding an air of nobility and luxury. "Welcome to the Celebrating Love Ball," a sweet voice rang out, pulling Psyche back to reality. A beautiful goddess with pure white wings and a radiant smile had appeared before her. "You must be a special guest of Lord Eros, aren't you? Please follow me." Special guest? Lord Eros? Psyche was completely bewildered. She was just a mortal girl who had accidentally wandered into this divine world. How could she possibly be a guest of a famous god like Eros? But before Psyche could react, the goddess gently took her hand, leading her deeper into the bustling grand hall. And then, amidst the dazzling crowd, Psyche saw that light again. Still the same golden hair, deep blue eyes, and a smile as bright as the sun. Eros, the god of love, was standing on the red carpet, waving to the enthusiastic crowd of fans. But this time, Psyche was no longer observing from afar. She was very close, close enough to feel the regal aura, the dazzling halo emanating from this god. So handsome," Psyche murmured, unable to suppress her admiration. Despite the doubts and confusion in her heart, Eros's extraordinary beauty had truly overwhelmed her. And perhaps it was Psyche's out-of-place and different presence amidst the extravagant crowd that caught Eros's attention. Amidst the splendid formal wear and artificial smiles, Psyche's simple appearance and quiet black eyes stood out like a wildflower in a velvet rose garden. Eros subtly frowned, feeling a strange tremor in his heart. Those black eyes, why did they possess a beauty that was both familiar and foreign? Amidst the cheers and dazzling lights, Eros involuntarily walked towards Psyche, leaving behind the noisy bustle of the party. "Hello," Eros spoke, his voice deep and melodious like a stringed instrument. "I am Eros." Psyche startled, looking up at the god standing right in front of her. This close proximity made her feel Eros's flawless, perfect beauty even more intensely. But what confused Psyche even more was the pair of deep blue eyes staring intently at her, as if wanting to see through her soul. I am Sophia," Psyche stammered, feeling foolish introducing herself with this mortal name. I don't know why I'm here." Eros smiled faintly, a smile that made Psyche's heart race. "Perhaps it's destiny," Eros said, his voice carrying a hint of mystery, a hint of teasing. "Destiny brought you here to meet me." "Destiny?" Psyche frowned, feeling Eros's words were too lofty and difficult to understand. "What destiny? I just got lost," Psyche mumbled, trying to maintain a calm demeanor. "I must have come to the wrong place." Eros chuckled, a light, pleasant laugh like the ringing of a bell. "Wrong place? In Olympus, there's no such thing as the wrong place, mortal girl. Everything that happens has its reason." "Olympus?" Psyche gaped, looking around the magnificent hall. This is Olympus? I thought Olympus only existed in mythology." "Mythology?" Eros raised an eyebrow, his expression showing amusement. "You thought we were just fairy tales? How interesting." But I'm immortal, Psyche said, her voice full of doubt. How could I possibly come to Olympus? That's a secret, Eros winked, his expression becoming even more mysterious. But don't worry, Psyche, you're here, which means you have your reason. Psyche felt like she was lost in a strange dream. She was standing in Olympus, facing the god of love Eros, listening to this god's incomprehensible philosophical words. I don't understand anything, Psyche confessed, her voice a little helpless. You're talking too high level, I'm literature dumb and can't keep up. Eros laughed again, this time the laughter seemed more genuine, no longer as performed as when he was in front of the crowd. Mortal girl, do you know who you're talking to? I am Eros, the god of love, but it seems you need love more than you understand it, don't you? Eros's words made Psyche pause. Need love? Yes, she longed for love, dreamed of a love as beautiful as in fairy tales, but could Eros understand the heart of a mortal girl like her? You are the god of love, Psyche said, her voice with a hint of challenge. So do you know what mortal love is, or are you only familiar with the divine, lofty love of the gods? Eros was silent for a moment, his deep blue eyes looking intently into Psyche's eyes. Love, whether divine or mortal, shares a common essence, Eros said slowly, his voice becoming more serious. It is longing, it is resonance, it is the connection between two hearts. But mortal love is much more complicated, Psyche retorted, her voice a little bitter. We have worries about food, clothing, and money, binding relationships, hurts, and disappointments. Love isn't always rosy like in fairy tales. I know, Eros said, his voice gentler. I know that love in the mortal world is not easy at all, but that is also its beauty. Beauty? Psyche raised an eyebrow, not understanding Eros's meaning. Beauty in what way? It's all suffering and disappointment. No, Eros shook his head, a slightly sad smile playing on his lips. The beauty lies in the fact that even knowing that love can bring suffering, people still never stop searching, never stop hopping. That is what's miraculous. Psyche was silent, pondering Eros's words. Although there were still many things she didn't understand, this god's words had touched a part of her heart. Perhaps Eros was not just a lofty, distant god as she had imagined. Perhaps he also understood the feelings, the longings of mortals. So, what do you want from me? Psyche asked, her voice a little hesitant but also unable to hide her curiosity. Why are you paying attention to a mortal like me? Eros smiled, a mysterious, captivating smile. I'm just curious, Eros replied, his voice full of implication. Curious about you, Psyche, you are a very different girl. Different? Psyche repeated, looking down at her simple attire. Probably different in the country bumpkin and out of place way in this crowd. No, Eros shook his head, refuting Psyche's self-deprecating words. Different in the way you are yourself, not trying to be anyone else. Psyche blushed slightly, feeling a little flustered by Eros's unexpected compliment. Are you teasing me? Not at all, Eros said, his voice sincere. I'm very serious. I want to get to know you, Psyche. Eros extended his hand, his smile as radiant as the morning sun. Give me a chance to learn about you, would you? Psyche hesitated, looking at Eros's hand. A white, slender, perfect hand like a sculpted statue. The hand of a god. Should she take that hand? Should she step into Eros's strange, magical world? In Psyche's heart, a struggle was taking place. On one side was doubt, fear, self-doubt. On the other side was curiosity, excitement, and a hint of indescribable flutter. But in the end, curiosity won. Psyche took a deep breath, then placed her hand in Eros's, her small, rough, mortal hand nestled in the warm, soft, divine hand. All right, Psyche said, her voice soft but her eyes sparkled with a mischievous glint. But don't blame me if I'm too literature dumb and can't keep up with your high-level words, God Eros. Eros laughed, his laughter filled with joy and excitement. I will try to speak mortal language more, Psyche, Eros said, his voice gentle and warm, and I believe you are not as dumb as you think. And so, the fiery encounter between the mortal Psyche and the god of love Eros officially began. A meeting full of surprise, humor, and promising to open a love story that transcends all frameworks, all prejudices, a love story that is perhaps truly destined. And what Psyche couldn't have anticipated, the moment her small hand touched Eros's, a bustling backstage operation was secretly launched on Mount Olympus. The god of love's divine assistant team, from the mischievous Hermes, the playful little Cupids, to even the veteran Zeus, officially joined the fray, enthusiastically brainstorming for Eros's operation, win the heart of the mortal muse. From bad boy handbooks and flirting tips to battle-tested dating experiences with a rather infamous reputation, all viewed through a divine lens, became ultimate moves with terrifyingly powerful, destructive potential. But will these armchair strategists actually help the universally adored Eros conquer the heart of an ordinary mortal girl? Or conversely, will their overzealous enthusiasm, combined with Eros's internet-gleaned dating knowledge, only paint a disastrous first date both hilariously cringeworthy and memorably traumatic? The next chapter promises to unleash a belly-laughing riot with the god of love's struggles as he goes native in the mortal world of dating, and perhaps reveal that sometimes even gods must learn from scratch when it comes to love.